Hi there, this is Darren with SimNation, just continuing the Back to Basics videos for Draft Day Sports College Football 2026. If you remember last video, we were talking about scouting. This video, I'm going to talk about recruiting. I'm probably going to break recruiting up into 3 videos. The main reason for it is I don't want to have a 20-30 minute video. I'd rather just keep it to 5 or 6 minutes. And the first video will really talk about just an overview of recruiting, what matters, what doesn't. And then in the next video or two, I'll probably delve into how do you recruit as a low prestige team versus a high prestige team. In general, recruiting, it looks like this when you open it. On your right is position data. This is important because this actually allows you to understand who you need to recruit for. If you're in an online league, there's traditionally minimums. You need to make sure you meet the minimum, otherwise the CPU will go ahead and grab those players for you. I often, when we're talking about same the regular season, I'm recruiting to replace my seniors, or I'm recruiting for spots that generally I know I need to fill because I may not have good players. Um, this gives you an idea of how many seniors you have. Ideally, you'd want to make sure you at least have the minimum, but you normally want to have one or two more. If it's an offensive line, the minimum may be three, but you probably should have five because you need to have depth. Defensive line, same thing. Linebackers, cornerbacks, all that the same. Recruiting pipelines, I've talked about this a lot in the past. Traditionally, those that are great are places where you are going to be able to get benefit from recruiting in those regions. And this is all tied back to your coaches, by the way. So you can see I can recruit Kentucky really great, West Virginia. Really, none of these are great hotbeds of talent, but Delaware, Louisiana, South Dakota. Decent is another place where you can make some impact. Minor is, of course, what it sounds like, minor. You see here that you have scholarships, you have offers, you have how many targets, what your class rank is, the budget you have. Budget's very important for planning out how you're going to recruit. How much you've actually spent. Now, facilities is a very interesting thing, and it's something that you really need to keep an eye on. When you are recruiting, when a player says that they are interested in academics, it ties directly back to this. If you have really bad facilities or you're not putting money into facilities, they're generally probably not going to be as interested in you as they would be if you were. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Not gonna spend a lot of time here, but when we go here, we'll open up the player screen. A couple things you need to understand is in order to see, we'll go to actions. In order to be able to see what the attributes are and the personality ratings are, you have to interview the player. So one of the first things you should always do in recruiting is once you've identified those players you're interested in through scouting, you should always make sure to at least interview them in the first week. Because that's important for you to be able to now unlock this and now get an idea. Now, I've talked a lot about this in the past, and this is something that some people disagree with me on, but this is my opinion, and I will tell you I am a pretty good recruiter, as evident on most of my teams. Strength B, A minus, A plus, B plus is all relative to the average of the league for that position. So when you see a strength of B, it doesn't mean an 80 because if, for instance, a quarterback's strength is averaging, say, around 40, what it means is he's probably in the 50s, maybe in the 60s. For defensive linemen, if the average is 70s, it may mean that he's in the high 70s, pushing 80. And it could mean that if he's an A plus, he's in the 90s. It's always going to be relative to the average for that position based on that attribute. So just keep that in the back of your mind before you go hog wild with saying, "Oh wow, this guy's got a B," and he's a fullback. He's got to be like a 90 strength. No, he's probably going to be more like a 60 or 70. And again, you can get it wrong because it is also tied back to your scout. And if your scout's not really good, you may get really bad false positives. Personality is very important because this gives you what the person is like. Cohesion is a thing within 2026, so you generally want to get people who are good team players. who have good disposition, because that's how they're going to build cohesion. Leadership is important for very specific positions like quarterback, linebacker, maybe some of the safeties. Work ethic is always huge because this is how they develop. And if they don't have great work ethic, you're going to have some problem. Competitiveness does play into some of the stats around how you catch the ball, things like that. So again, you need to factor that in. You shouldn't be going for dirt bags because dirt bags are going to cause problems. The other thing to keep in mind is these things downhill: prestige, security, loyalty, winning, playing time, close to home, market size. This is telling you how to recruit the person and where you should invest. Now, it isn't 100% true that these are going to be what the person makes a decision on, because you can see over here, if we look to the right, he doesn't really care about winning. I haven't hit in the first week with this. A green dot means a hit. But I did hit market size. If you look at him, he does really care about market size, so that makes sense, right? And if you look at organization, well, that's security and that's also loyalty, so that does make sense. I got 2 hits on categories, but I didn't see a hit on winning. It doesn't mean winning's not important to him. I just didn't get a hit on the talking point that I sent. Talking points are important to adjust. I would advocate that you should not put a 0 in a talking point. Over time, it should give you a little bit more, but if you're going to 0 something, make sure you 0 always the lowest rated one. In this case, you can't do prestige because prestige is tied up in market size. Um, Now, playing time, I could probably 0 and then pump into one of these other categories. Definitely can do that. The other thing is the coaching grades. So coaching grades and recruit opinions only come after you do a home visit. Now, again, coach grades are tied to your coach's preference for how they play. So if the guy is into a West Coast offense, and the guy has an arm, but he doesn't really have accuracy, you're going to notice he has a low coaching grade. Generally, 30s is good, but bear in mind that what they're really evaluating is how well do they fit within the system of that coach, which is why you see a disparity, right? The other thing is recruit opinions. Keep an eye on it throughout the process because it's going to be important. Because a lot of times, if they say you're still in it, you got a chance. If they say you're leading, you got a chance. If they say that he really could care less about you, you probably don't. And keep an eye on certainty because when it's low, these things don't mean as much. When it's high, they mean a lot. You always want to pretty much always have someone who is either some medium, high, hot. You want to make sure you have those because if someone is cool on you in week 9 or 10 of the regular season, they're probably not going to change their opinion on you. So this is just some of the basics that I look for when I'm recruiting someone. Like in this case, if you're ever not so around talking points, they actually have a good help button here. Academics, like I said, is tied back into your facilities budget. Location is your proximity to the person, right? So if they value staying close to home and they're in Virginia and you're in California, probably not going to work in your favor. Market size, of course, is the size of the school and the prestige of the school. It's really the prestige of the school. So if you're trying to recruit someone who's a 5-star and you have a prestige of 35 and they care about this, and let's just say someone's coming in like a Alabama and they have a 90, you're probably not going to win that fight. Organization is the school staff. Does the school staff generally align with what that person does well? How stable is that staff? Is that staff being constantly turned over? Did you fire the coach? Did you let go of people? That's what's really important. Playing time is what it sounds like. Winning is what it sounds like. Now, depending on what they really care about, so for instance, we notice this person likes market size, right? Let's find another person that we offered a scholarship to first. One of the new concepts in here is promises. Now, the thing with promises, I would not make a promise until probably about week 2 or 3 because you're trying to figure out what they really care about. When you make promises, you need to keep them. So Generally, if someone cares about playing time's important. You can make a promise to playing time because at least you're going to play them, right? Starter, maybe be a little bit more careful with that because you're going to have to make that person the starter or they're likely going to transfer. Bowl game, same thing. Do you think you're going to win enough games? And this matters for people who value winning. Are you going to make a bowl game? Are you going to make the playoffs? Are you going to win a championship? Unless you're a championship caliber team, don't promise championship. Again, it will probably take the recruit off. A lot of different things will play into recruiting throughout the part of it, but promises, just make sure you can deliver on your promises. That's very, very important. Also, when you're not getting what you want from somebody, it's okay to hide them, but just make sure you click off all the things around them and watch the dollar value. Because again, if someone values loyalty, it's really your ability to stay on them. You're constantly contacting them, you're talking to them, you're building a rapport with them. Loyalty is one of those things where you actually have to keep on top of them if they value that. Security, you can't fire their favorite coach. If you do, they're gone. So those are really important things. And again, make sure you understand what you have to offer and what you don't. If you don't have the ability to offer a starting position because maybe you have a five-star all God recruit, don't offer it. So that's kind of the overview in a nutshell. Hopefully this helps you a little bit. I went a little bit long, 11 minutes. I'm going to try to bring this in a little bit more, but next we'll talk about how to recruit at a low prestige school. Thank you.